Oh man.
Hey, and welcome to a series review of Ms. Marvel. This is something that we have been sort of doing for all the shows. We just got really busy. Didn't really get around to doing it for Moon Knight or Obi Wan Kenobi. But Marvel's in, and I've got a panel here. So we've got Richard here. Richard, how's it going?
It's going. Happy to be here. Excited to talk about the show.
And we've got Ryan Payne here. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going good, Malcolm. I'm actually looking forward to be talking about this show. It's definitely. I, I'll hold off my thoughts on it, I'll say I definitely enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the ride.
Also we've got Max. Max, how's it going?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great.
And last but not least, we've got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Doing well, here to have fun, talk about what might be my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show at the moment.
Yeah. But what we do first is just going to give a brief spoiler-free thoughts about the show, and then once we've done that, we will go straight into spoilers. I will put up a banner when we start talking about spoilers if for some reason you're watching this and you haven't seen any of the episodes. But Richard, I'll start off with you. What are your spoiler-free thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
Um, Overall, it was really good. I love the characters. Minus a couple. I thought the Camilla Khan was a very good character, very intriguing character. A lot of the characters were very intriguing. My only real knock about this show is 6 episodes wasn't enough. Like it was more the lines of I think the 6 episode, Disney Plus shows kind of hurt plot points in the show, but overall it was really good. My second favorite Marvel show because Hawkeye will always be my number one. I don't care what everyone says. I'm a Hawkeye biased person, so that's as far as I can go without spoiling it.
But Ryan, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
Spoiler free thoughts. I mean, it's very simple. I'd like the. I mean, I do agree with Richard. 6 episodes was just not enough. I do enjoy that this was one of the few actually the only Disney Plus show that we got that spent more time focusing on the world building. Like it did a good balance of the world building and of the character. So seeing Iman's performance of Kamala just made you feel as if you could meet someone like this out there in the world, and even some of the characters that exist in this show. Um, Now there is more there's spoiler stuff, but so far we're spoiler free. I like that I love this show. I love the first 3 episodes. I like how it was all about community, about family. So it got me more and more invested in this show as it got down to the last 3 episodes.
And Max, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
Yeah, no, I really liked the show overall. I thought the first 3 episodes were amazing, like straight up some of the best stuff that Marvel has done in recent memory in terms of aesthetic, in terms of style, performances from Iman Vellani, Yasmin Fletcher, Matt Lintz, Sagar Shaikh are all amazing. And then, well, it's kind of like not really spoiler, but like the latter half of the show is a little bit weaker than the first half because it doesn't spend as much time developing the villain. The antagonists are very weak and they're very boring, and the central thread of the series as well. But then it kind of picks up steam in the last episode. It was really good, but the visual effects are not really were a little bit disconcerting. But yeah, no, the show was great. I enjoyed like overall the experience was fine, but I have a couple of issues with it still.
Chris, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
If any show brought me back into MCU after a little bit, some of the disappointment I had with Phase 4, this is it. I love this show from the writing to the acting to the directing. I just love the character, Miss Marvel American. Actually, I love her character. I love the family around her. I love the mom and dad. I love her friends. I love every single people in this show. I should have I was going to villain, but this show that more about the hero journey than villain to me, and I appreciate this from Marvel. I love it lead up. I hope for season 2, besides what beginning with Captain Marvel 2. And
Sorry,
I
I cut you off there.
yeah, this is it, that knocked WandaVision off at my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show.
Yeah, no, this is definitely one that this is probably one of my most anticipated shows that they had announced because I'm a big fan of the character of Ms. Marvel. Like when they said they're gonna switch up her powers for a bit at first, I was a little bit worried because I know her whole thing is tied in with being an Inhuman and that. We'll get more into that part in spoilers for sure.
Mhm.
But them changing up her powers and making them a more sort of constructy, and that it actually worked. Like it's one of those ones that it worked for the character, and obviously they're bringing in Mr. Fantastic later, so I think they didn't want to make her powers seem more like Mr. Fantastic. I think they wanted to try and switch it up so everyone seems like a different move set is enough. And it worked. And I really did like the family, and I really liked that how as the episode went on, it actually made a lot of sense for why we didn't see her in her full costume until the last episode. While I would have liked to see it a lot more, because with what the leaked set photos from the Marvels have come out, she's going to have a different costume in that. But that being said, I really liked how aspects of what we see in the leading up to it actually formed into the costume, and I like the fact that just like most superheroes, and we will start heading into spoilers about now, just like most superheroes, their costumes, their
Mhm.
initial costumes was either made by themselves or made by one of their family members, and I really like the fact that it was actually her mother that designed the costume, especially after seeing the whole necklace that she had on at the scenes, like, and all that. And I actually quite like the fact that in the series, like, she got her name like from her father, just with the whole figures like in Urdu, Kamala means marvels, and you're Ms. Marvel, and I think that was a nice touch because it really makes her one of these more with these superheroes, which is more grounded in her family, and this is one of the few shows that I've seen that I think really deserves deserves a second season, deserves to actually be an ongoing series. And I'm
By the way,
pretty
that's sorry.
yeah, no, it's one of those ones. So I'm just going to start with the big elephant in the room. Look, I know this has been a big talking point on the internet at this point. Her now being a officially mutant, whether or not she's So this is one of those ones that is interesting because I didn't see they're going to turn into a mutant, but and while it's not 100% confirmed, the fact that they used the X-Men 90s theme as soon as she said the word mutation was said makes me think they're going to
Oh
go
my
that
god,
route.
that was
Next week is San Diego Comic Con. I think the reason why they put the episode a week before next week.
Oh yeah. But Chris, how do we feel about Kamala being a mutant?
I remember I was watching the episode after I got off work. I tried to avoid intro to everything, and as soon as that word mutation came in, I screamed yes out loud in the living room. Yeah, I was just like, I've been wondering how they did the X-Men, and the JB Stereo how I had two money in my head, probably similar stuff that happened so far in Phase 4, but it Wanda death or the Loki time variant, when Kane would kill, with that big event that happened. But I love it. I think it unique. It brings something new that we haven't seen to her character. They make it different from the comic book. We're not to get human anytime soon, sadly. But I'd like to change and let Beyond Mutant. I can't wait to see where they go next, especially with Captain Marvel 2.
Before I move over to you, Max, I will say it has come out in interviews that the creator of the comics, Ms. Marvel, was saying that they were really originally going to go the mutant way with Ms. Marvel. Then somewhere along the lines, she became an Inhumans in the comics. So I like the fact that it's gone the other way around in this. But Max, how do we feel about Ms. Marvel being a mutant?
Yeah, no, I don't think that we'll ever see the Inhumans in the MCU, except for Black Bolt blowing his head in the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I don't think Kevin Feige likes Inhumans very much, so yeah, I feel a little bit, I would say, indifferent about it. I think it's a fun, reveal, but I feel I need to know more to I think get a feel on which direction they will go to properly introduce mutants into the MCU. And
Yeah.
since this is the second time that we're hearing the X-Men 97 theme in an MCU title before the show is slated to premiere, I have a feeling that the X-Men 97 series is likely going to be set into the MCU and will have some
Or maybe that's the
ramifications,
first
something
time
like
we get
that.
in Phase 5.
Even though it's a direct follow-up to the animated series from the 90s, there's definitely I think they're going to find a way to integrate it. That's kind of like my theory.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to be like full on in the MCU, but I think
Yeah.
they're going to be able to use like MCU heroes now, which you might see
Yeah.
Iron Man pop up in that series.
Yeah.
And all that.
I mean, in the
My-
original series, they had because I'm watching it right now, and they had like Doctor Strange and Thor and Captain America pop up from time to time. So yeah.
And I will put it out there. These are only rumors at this stage. There's rumors going to be at Comic Con. They are going to announce Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X and Denzel Washington as Magneto. I don't know how the internet's going to react to that, because we know how they feel about Ray Spence.
I have a feeling that maybe there would be like
But
the
yeah,
first
as I
one
said,
of Phase 5.
it's why I said it's only rumors.
Yeah.
We won't know until San Diego Comic Con if that is what's going to be announced.
But we will know that in at Comic Con there will be details on X-Men 97, so we're definitely going to know about that. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at Comic Con, there's probably going to be a lot of stuff about Phase 5. Yeah. But anyway, there's enough about Comic Con, because that's next week. We'll probably do a big thing covering that once those announcements happen. But Ryan, how do you feel about Ms. Marvel becoming a mutant?
I'm not the biggest fan of it, actually, mainly because it felt it was a little too quick for this. It should have been something of a build-up, because after the whole reveal that she was getting her powers through a bangle that was sent from her great nanny, all of a sudden it kind of undercuts the whole point. It undercuts a little bit of the character journey she goes through, because episode 3, it's revealed that when she meets the clandestine, that her great nanny and the clandestine are from another dimension, and within her culture they're called Jinn, which could have been something that would have been worth doing a great storytelling, like a good episode on, because throughout the first 3 episodes, we listen to Kamala. We're just seeing the community life that Kamala lives by, that she has, her family, how everything's so tied deep into her being her being Muslim and her heritage. I would have loved to have heard stories about Jinn, at least through her community, or when she went to Pakistan meeting the Red Daggers. So then all of a sudden you introduce that, right in this little in tag, she's a mutant. It kind of, to me, undercuts the whole thing with Kamala, like her journey of identity. Sure, this adds another layer to discovering who she is, but as I've agreed with Richard that this 6 episodes was too short. If we had maybe this show was 8 episodes, I would have felt that this mutant reveal could have been worth it, but it honestly wasn't.
And Richard, what did you think about her being sort of changed up to be mutant?
Didn't really care. That was kind of funny, kind of cool. Like, I mean, I was like, one of the reasons, like, the thing I like about this show for me is I'm not as familiar with Ms. Marvel as a lot of comic book people are. Like, so, I was learning a lot from the show about the character for, like, pretty much the first time. I think this is one of the main factors where I think 6 episodes is not enough. Or the fact that my major gripe with the show is they spend too much time on her story or on her family background when there's only 6 episodes. But yeah, like for Mutant Wise, it was cool. Like I didn't care too much. I liked the X-Men theme song thing. I thought it was pretty like funny, pretty MCU-ish. So I was indifferent to it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Chris.
My question is, it had music been around for the whole time, or something happened, whether it wanted death or the Loki situation that caused music now to be around?
I mean, honestly, I think it's a case of mutants have been around this
Yeah.
whole time. They just haven't been in the limelight. But we should have made a plan for this, but never mind. We're going to start at the beginning. But Richard, all bars are. All restrictions are off. You can talk about anything you want about the show, and what did you think about show? You can go spoilers heavy now.
All right. Really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. Thought it was, very unique style. It really kind of felt like a high school like atmosphere. It kind of had that Diary of a Wimpy Kids kind of feel at times, like with the animations, like with little doodlings. I think like Camilla Khan, like what's her name? I'm looking at the actress. How do you say it? Iman.
Iman Vellani.
Iman was very well done as a character. Like she's a great actress. Like it was so good. I really liked Matt Lintz as Bruno. I felt like he got kind of like friend zoned. I was really kind of disappointed about that. I thought, like I said, like the story was really good. The family was great. My major, like the character I don't like is Zoe. I don't know why the MCU does not like to go full bully or whatever her character was supposed to be. Like I know the popular girl, there's times where she was like a bully, but she wasn't. And then she ends up being like, I just don't know why the MCU, like they did the same thing with Flash Thompson. Like they made him a bully, but not fully a bully. Like you need to go full bully at times. You needed that kind of like high school bully. That was the thing. Like she was like my Elaine Nock, really, like Zoe. And my other main distraction was the fact the 6th episode happens. I didn't like how quickly the parents went from, oh, you are staying in your room, you're not going to do anything dangerous, to, oh, you're a superhero, that's cool, here's a costume. I don't like that transaction with just 6 episodes. It was too quick, and it kind of took me out of the show a little bit with just like how quickly her family accepted that.
But yeah, Ryan, what are your sort of thoughts about the show?
Yeah, despite a couple of narrative plots, honestly, I did enjoy the show. I understand that some leaps were going to have to be happening, like the whole like her relationship with her parents. I was definitely invested that it was not more of just. I like the internal struggle it was with Kamala, because in the first episode we're introduced to her, she is very introverted, at least she's very introverted when it comes to her family life, because she kind of feels like an outsider. But when she's with Bruno and then with her, oh my god, I forgot her other friend.
What's that? Look at Nakia.
Nakia,
yeah. When she's with those two, she's like she's completely herself. And then the first episode was all just about learning to understand her, like her being a young kid, the pressure being put against her. I will say that I didn't actually get that vibe of Zoe that she was meant to be a bully. I just got the vibe that she and Kamala used to be friends. She became popular, so it was just more of those two verged off on different paths. I mean, I will admit that one little line throwaway of her saying that she liked her necklace, and then Kamala says, "Oh, it's my name in Pakistan," and then she goes, "Oh, okay, whatever." That felt to me that was something that was just forced in to give that impression. But personally, to me, it just felt to me that these two used to be maybe friends, but then veered off on different paths. So when they did bring her back in episode 6, I'm going, okay. I mean, if she wasn't trying that hard to keep it a secret, then of course Zoe would kind of figure it out, especially after that little interrogation with Damage Control. But beyond that, I was enjoying the internal struggle with Kamal's character, trying to understand what she wants to do with her life. Of course, everyone has expectations for her. So when she gets this bangle and she knows this, it literally did feel like this is what she wanted to do. And it was kind of fantasy and reality, and how they were her fantasy world and the reality world colliding together. So Mostly at the end of episode 5, I did like the fact that her mom and her were finally making headway with each other. So when that does happen in episode 6, I go, maybe some more time for the dad and the brother. But I like the fact it was most importantly, it was the struggle between her and the mom just trying to understand each other and also bridge this kind of generation gap because her nanny believed in this stuff, but unfortunately it harmed her mom to where she went on the opposite ends of it. And then her great nanny, who died in the 5th episode, we do get to see like some tie-in together. I do believe more episodes were definitely needed so this narration can come off well. But I like the ride going through this.
Max, what are your spoiler thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
Yeah, like I said initially, I thought the first 3 episodes were brilliant. I mean, they really established a unique and different style from anything else that the MCU has done. And that's great because, the MCU really needs to push itself, stylistically and thematically because I just saw Thor, Love and Thunder, and it was very cut and paste, bland visuals, bland cinematography. And so it's great to see, real craft being put into their stuff. And I just loved the celebration of Indian cinema, the relationship that Kamala has with Nakia, with Bruno, and with her family too. I thought the 2 actors that played the parents, Zenobia Shroff and Mohan Kapoor, were great, especially when he dresses as the Hulk. That was very funny. And I was really enjoying it. I thought the pace of the first 3 episodes were really good. Like it started with this nice initial situation, and then she gets her powers, and she trains a little bit of her powers, and then damage control goes after her. Then she meets the clandestine. There's this great fight scene at the wedding. Like the kitchen fight scene is awesome. And then she goes to Karachi, and the show takes a major dip in quality and in story. It just everything in Karachi feels terribly rushed. She meets the Red Daggers. The clandestines are after her. Then there's this flashback in the partition that is great, but it needed more depth and more time, maybe another episode to really kind of solidify, the journey that Kamala is going through. But it just moved from like one scene to another without a sense of pace. And I thought it was very, it felt very underdeveloped and undercooked. Like there's this one character that gets introduced, Waleed, he's played by Farhan Akhtar. 10 minutes later, he gets killed, and it's like, okay, well, there's no like emotional impact on who he was because we barely got a chance to know him and the Red Daggers. Like that whole chase scene felt very sort of standard and without any emotional depth whatsoever. And so that bothered me a bit, and it felt Kamala's journey from superhero to the Miss Marvel we know and love feel very rushed. Yeah. And then the climax was fine. Up until the point where she started to embiggen, the CGI looked terrible. Like it looked rough, unfinished, and it definitely looked better than whatever the hell was in Thor: Love and Thunder. But still,
I was gonna say, like in episode 1, like when the parents dress up the Hulk, like I this like kind of feels towards my age because like man, I was like, Kamala's being an asshole to her parents. I was siding more with the parents than I was with her. It's like she's the real villain of the story. I knew it.
I like that. I actually like that scene because it just once again just shows the miscommunication, not understanding each other. Because that look over the dad's face, where you see him just really hurt, and I do like that when after she said that she realized that how bad she messed up. So when she goes talk to Bruno, she just it falls once again to just the different generational
Yeah, I mean, if I was her parents, I wouldn't let her go like without any supervision either, especially with all like aliens attacking, Thanos snapping the universe that she lives in. I completely agree with her parents. Hell no.
I mean, I think it's one of those ones like I think it definitely shows the like her parents' sort of thoughts about superheroes in general because like as the mother says, like in her opinion, like she thinks like all superhero females dress up in really skimpy clothes and she doesn't want her daughter going out in those sort of outfits.
And unfortunately, Zoe kind of proves her mom right.
Yeah. But Chris, what are some of your spoiler thoughts about Ms. Marvel?
So this show finally does for me what I've been complaining about Phase 4 so far. I haven't been loving the writing in a lot of respect. I love a lot of dialogue in this show, but the scene with her and her mom talking, her scene with her Nana, like that thing just talking about the past and stuff. That's so beautiful at times. The scene with her and dad in episode 6, that the writing feels so real and genuine on the show that I just love listening to the culture, to the aspect. Some of the realistic moment, like when the Department of Damage Control entered the monastery and everybody pulled out their ID. They say that's common. That does happen a lot. They even say, even the TV could write a spy on us. And like stuff like that made me fall in love with the show. I love the community. I get what you're saying about the family, but I think it's a great moment. Like the brother, like when he go in, like, look, I will talk to mom and dad about you going to AvengerCon in episode 1. So she had that moment with her brother that very beautiful. The moment with her dad too. Like I love when he explained the story to Jen to Bruno. That thing that Bruno said is a great humor. And the humor. If did it feel forced, there was genuine moment of really good humor with the family. The wedding stuff was beautiful. My favorite line of dialogue is them talking about the son having the goth thing when he was younger, and the dad goes, "This is why we come to America, so our kids to be whatever they want to be." I think it's a genuine line that made me emotional. I just love this show. I love every character. I love this lot of stuff. I agree, episode 4 or 5 a week. I think they do have great moments here and there. But I love the flashback stuff to death. I think, a lot of dialogue did really work. A lot of the moments we had with her nanny talk about the past, how they were treated today. And
Yeah.
episode, unlike a lot of Disney Plus show, I think episode that does set the landing. It does have a great finale to the show. Even though I didn't love the Department of Damage Control, I did love the villain. I just love that we finally got a good finale to the show and not have a cop out.
I will say one positive this show did. It actually made me believe that Damage Control is a legit government agency. It did it better than freaking No Way Home did, which I thought they were the biggest plot holes of that movie. But in here, Damage Control felt as if they are an actual presence. So when you do see them sprinkled out in episode 2, 3, and 6, you do see that, they have the resource, they have the tools to monitor and most likely contain enhanced individuals.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually quite, with the Damage Control specifically, I actually quite like they revealed they've been taking all these technologies they've been sort of confiscating from various movies, like the drones and all that, and just repurposing them for their own uses, because those sonic cannons that they use in the finale, I'm pretty sure they're the same sonic cannons from the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and they're in the She-Hulk trailer too, if you noticed.
Oh, yeah.
I just hope they lead it somewhere with it and not just like them just showing up.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like for a show that is actually a origin story type thing. I think this did the origin story style for TV show perfect, because you get to know the character a little bit, you get to understand the motivations, and if they do get a season 2, then we can start sort of getting into the more sort of big things, like it's don't have to write it and have to set up things. I did read an interview with the creators. Apparently, they did have more that they wanted to do with the clandestines, but due to COVID restrictions and all that, there's some stuff they had to just not be able to do. Just like all the shows, really, there's like things that they wanted to do that they couldn't. But overall, I really dug this show. This is probably my favorite show out of the lot so far.
Thanks.
And I mean, and for me, a lot of the like animation sequences and that reminded me of Lizzie McGuire. Actually, I got a lot of Lizzie McGuire vibe just with the whole animated things. And it's definitely a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see sort of where this goes and how Ms. Marvel's going to fit in with the Avengers going forward.
Can we talk about the mid-credit things?
I was getting there, just patient. But but yeah, and but yeah, the end credit scene is another one that has got everyone talking. And while there's a lot of people that seem to be sort of confused about whether if it's a shapeshift or a complete switch. I know Grace Randolph's not helping things by going the shapeshift route.
No,
I believe everything you say, people.
Oh, I never do anyway.
as someone as her who claims to do research, she is shit at it. Because I will say this immediately up front. I believe wholeheartedly that was a swap. As someone I used to read earlier Captain Marvel comics,
There's not even discussion. It was a swap. You saw Carol's reaction. It's like she wasn't supposed to be here. It wasn't like for a second I thought maybe she transformed to her, but no, it was a complete swap.
Yeah, it's all about the performance in that scene. Because if it was Kamala, guess what? It would be Brie Larson acting like Kamala in that scene, but she's not.
I mean, also I think if it was a shapeshift, there's no point in having Ms. Kamala literally teleport out through the doors jump up from off camera.
Yeah.
Which honestly,
it kind of taken away from the fact that I knew Camilla Khan is going to be in the Marvels, and so is Captain Marvel. So it's not a swap; they're going to both be there.
Yeah. I will say, I would really with the end credit scene. I really wish they'd Carol sort of teleport in, similar to what Ms. Marvel did, because it just looks so corny having Carol just standing up from the floor, especially without teleporting. It just looks so odd. But that being said,
well, I thought didn't the Bengal transport switch them? I don't think she meant to switch. I think the Bengal or whatever her powers.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with on the other end, because it was teased in episode 3 through when the clandestine were talking to her that when they did that little flashback scene of them grabbing the first Bengal, they said, "Where's the other one?" So there was that little thread out there. Like, I thought that was going to be a tease in the next season, the second Bengal, but I guess we found out.
I've gone back.
Yeah, no, I was going to address that. There's some people speculating that the bangles that Ms. Marvel has is what's known in the comics as the nigger bands. And there was a comic storyline in which the original Captain Marvel switched.
Or I think it was Genisville, maybe. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, it was the original Captain Marvel, who used the nigger bands to switch places with Rick Jones.
Yes. Rick Jones. So I think it's one of those ones like there's multiple different bands I think that can do the same things. But they're not confirmed which bands these are, and I think that's something we'll probably get in the Marvels because I suspect that maybe that's where Captain Marvel went after the end credit scenes with Shang-Chi, when she had to go look into Disturbance. I think that's where she went. She probably found the other bangle on some off planet, and then so I don't know what the timeline is for Ms. Marvel and Shang-Chi, sort of where they sort of fit in this whole thing. But that's kind of what I think happened. But Richard, how excited are you for the Marvels after seeing the post-credit scene?
I'm sorry, what? Say again?
How excited are you? What did you think of the post-credit scene, and how excited are you for the Marvels movie coming next year?
Oh, it was fun, and I mean, I'm always going to see any MCU film, so I mean, I'm already hooked in. Like, it wasn't like the oh my god post-credit scene of all time. Like, there have been better mid-credit scenes, but it was still a good one.
Yeah,
like I wasn't expecting too much. I mean, this was a little bit more than I was expecting. I was assuming it would be something along because I had a feeling Carol was going to make a cameo somewhere, because especially with all of her Camilla's fangirling on Captain Marvel the whole time, like, she was going to make a cameo at some point.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's part of me I was half expecting, especially with all the references to Ant-Man, and now I half expected Ant-Man to make an appearance. But Ryan, what did you think of the post?
I did like you speak about Ant-Man. I did like in the first episode when Amon is making her YouTube video. I love how it explains how some of the world knows about what happened in Endgame with through Scott Lang and his podcast. I enjoyed that.
Give up the podcast, Marvel. Let me
Honestly, with that joke, I really hope we see an Ant-Man in the Ross Quantumania. We see Scott Lang sitting in his desk recording, quickly recording a podcast.
I really hope it was
put on the DVD.
I really
Scott's-
hope it was relayed to Peyton Reed when they were shooting this. Like, oh, Scott Lang can have this podcast, and so then it's in there because
I want to listen to that podcast. I want to be like Scott's. Like, man, I should have gone for the ass.
Oh, Paul Rudd could probably do something kind of like what Will Ferrell did for his podcast of taking his character Ron Burgundy and doing an actual podcast of the character. Maybe Paul Rudd could do that.
But anyway, Ryan, what did you think of the post-credit scene, and what do you think it means for the Marvels?
Well, it was obvious. I mean, earlier on, before WandaVision, it was set up that the character of Kamala and Monica Rambeau were going to appear in the Marvels. So I was curious how they were going to tie that together. But I do like how this mid-credit scene does set it up. It seems to me that with Carol appearing in Kamala's bedroom, it's going to now be the question, where was Carol? And now where was Carol out in the universe? And how is Kamala going to react in that situation? And I'm definitely looking forward to it. I wanted to see another opportunity for Brie Larson to play more into the character of Carol outside of that first movie. And of course, for some reports that some of that leaked footage I've been seeing from the Disney Cruise Line of her doing some interactions with Sam Wilson. I'm hoping this one we'll get to see not just a more confident, but a more like an actual character out of Carol instead of that's what they did with her in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Also, I guess they gave up on the short hair look too. Like I always I guess they're just ditching the short hair again.
Thank God.
Well, I think I don't know. They gave her so many different looks in those two Avengers movies. I'm going, can we make a decision here?
Well, no, the thing was, when she filmed Endgame before she filmed Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's what pissed me off. Like learning about that, especially.
But Max, what are your thoughts on the post-credit scene, and how excited are you for the Marvels?
Honestly, in terms of post-credit scenes for Phase 4, I think it's the best one because it's extremely brief, but makes us excited for the direction that the Marvels will take. I of course, like everybody, I think I expected to see either Monica Rambeau or Carol Danvers show up. And the way that they integrate Carol Danvers in the story, like I said, it's just this one fleeting moment, but it's perfect. Like it made me really excited to see, A, where Kamala is right now, and B, I hope that we'll see Carol Danvers interact with Kamala's family because she just landed in her house in the movie. And I also like the new suit that she wears, Captain Marvel. It gives a nice look on her new suit. I think it's more modern and a better update than it was the first time. And I think the running gag about her hairstyle is that it changes with with every movie. So yeah, but no, it's great. I can't wait to see the Marvels. I think it's going to be a good installment of the MCU. I'm looking forward to see Nia DaCosta direct the film. I think it should be pretty good.
And Chris, what are your thoughts on the post-credit scene, and what do you think it means for the Marvels?
I thought it was really good. I really got excited at the post-credit scene. I wonder how many weeks later it takes place because they never say specifically. You see that one big dialogue like, "Some say science mom," and we don't know what the conversation beforehand is. But I love it. As someone who I originally hated Captain Marvel, I got back. We watched recently. It's gone up on my viewing. But yeah, I tried it. I think it's now my more anticipated movie next year in Captain Marvel because of that post-credit thing and because how much I love the character. I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and Quantumania and whatever else come out next year. Marvel just because I loved. Honestly, Miss Marvel probably one of my favorite lead character in a Marvel movie TV show in a long while. I love this character there.
No,
I
Kate
enjoyed
Bishop
it.
was way better. Sorry, disagree. Kate Bishop's way better.
I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely one of those debates, but yeah, when it comes to the post credit scene, I thought it was I mean, I thought it was insane just seeing sort of Carol's face when she ended up in this room, which is clearly a shrine to herself. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, I don't know how I'd feel if I ended up in someone's house and found I idolized me with pictures of me all over the wall. But it's definitely going to pose some questions. I suspect that the Marvels will probably maybe lead off from that point and maybe have Carol maybe probably interact with the family briefly on the way out.
I hope we have that moment, and it's not just a simple where it just starts off with Kamala in space, and then it cuts to where Carol meets up, and then she does.
No, I think if I had to take a guess, I feel like it's going to be like 20 or 30 minutes into the Marvels film where that teleport will happen, and then you'll be introduced to Kamala. I don't think they're going to do it right off the bat. No, I think there's going to be like 30.
Yeah, I mean, it may show sort of where Carol was before at that point, but regardless, I think. Yeah, I mean, regardless, I think part of the Marvels is probably going to be Carol going to find Monica and Bo to get her help to try.
When does the Marvels have they gone a release date for the Marvels yet?
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah,
I believe it's next year.
February. No, sorry, July 28th, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, because at the moment the only movies we've got confirmed now are all coming out next year. We'll probably get more movies that are going to be past 2023.
We only got Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the
Wakanda. When does Wakanda Forever come out?
November
of this year.
Yeah.
Oh, is this year? Okay.
Yep.
Which means we'll probably get some kind of teaser or trailer.
And then She-Hulk is July or August.
August 17th.
August.
Yeah. But yeah, the last thing I will touch on, and I know we've all kind of talked about it before, because I don't know if Disney's doing a 6-episode mandate or if they're doing a 6-hour mandate where like every series has to be either 6 episodes or 6 hours long, because
it's not even 6 hours, because like it's always like 40 minutes, but it's not even 40 minutes because like the credits take forever. It's like a 30-something minute episode every time.
Well, I mean, it's one of the I haven't calculated how many hours each episode, like this whole series was when you add it up. But whether or not it's like they go, you can sort of can't go any longer than 6 hours for a series, but because like as we saw last year, like WandaVision had about 9 episodes, but a lot of them were half-an-hour episodes.
She-Hulk getting 9 episodes.
She-Hulk, but once again with She-Hulk, I heard that it's going to be like a sitcom thing, so each episode's going to be half an hour at least.
Well, here's the thing: even with like the 6 shows, like Captain Marvel, I think the longest one was like 42 minutes, and it's not even 42 minutes because like the credits take up like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah. No, I get the like as I said, it's one of those ones that I have no idea what the mandate is. Whether they go, you can only have 6 episodes, or we can have only 6 out.
I just feel like if there has to be a mandate, then they need to not like waste time with like flashbacks or like you can have flashbacks, but not for like the majority of an episode.
So it is a mandate for all of the Disney show because like
as I said, I have no idea because there is talks that Disney has a mandate of either 6 episodes. Every series has, but as we've said, that's not true because She-Hulk's getting 9, WandaVision had 9. What If I think had 7.
Yeah, and 12 get 12.
No, What If had 9.
Yeah, I knew it was 7 or 9. So it's one of those ones I have no idea if there is a mandate. I have no idea what the mandate is. But it's one of those ones like touching on that flashback. I don't mind them doing it at that point. But I think with they could have done it like maybe split that flashback up and maybe start each episode with a little bit of that flash.
You just
flashback
want another era recreation.
Yeah.
Look at him fine. I thought you were beautiful.
Well, no, I wasn't saying like.
My name is
No,
Camilla Khan. I was on an island for 5.
Well, no, I wasn't going that crazy, but it was like. But I don't mind them going into the family stuff and showing that partition thing because it was important, sort of understanding that. I think they could have split that up through all the episodes and have that kind of go. Then you lead into the actual Ms. Marvel stuff. Whether or not they would have helped the series, I don't know. But anyway, Richard, I know you've sort of talked about more, but what do you feel about like if it's a 6-hour or 6-episode mandate, even though they're not quite utilizing the 6 hours if that's what they are going?
I mean, it does feel like there has to be some kind of like I have a feeling there is a reason why they're only doing 6 episodes. I don't know, like, is the actress that play is Iman? Is she under? I mean, how old is she in real life? Do anyone know?
19.
19. Okay, so I was gonna say she was under 18. If she was under 18, I could understand that because when you're not an adult, you can't you can only work a certain amount of hours. At least it was in the movie industry. But like, I don't know. I can't imagine okay, the Disney Plus shows have a mandate, but the Disney Channel shows on cable don't. Like where you have like Girl Meets World, The Wizard of Waverly Place have like 20 something episodes, like with half-hour episodes. Like I don't think there is. They feel like Disney Plus is just wants to only do 6.
Yeah,
which is ridiculous because they make so much money on MCU movies alone on day one. I feel like this is this thing. One of my bigger problem with Disney is they're just so greedy with money and time that they don't want to give the fans like more than what we deserve because we deserve way more than 6 episodes of our Marvel show, especially how much hours we put in, how much money we spent.
I mean, honestly, like, honestly, I think they only give us 6 episodes because they know we're going to want more and we're going to want a second series. I think that's probably part of it too.
But still, like they're just being greedy at times because I live in California. Disneyland is like you'd spend like $500 in like a day just to go enjoy yourself at Disneyland in California Adventure alone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that being said, like Ms. Marvel's the only one that I kind of felt that the 6-episode structure actually worked. I thought like there was a couple of times where I probably would have moved that flashback and spread it along the.
I would disagree. I think this
series?
is the only show that it actually really hurt the show.
Yeah, no, I get that. What I was going with, this is the only one that I felt it worked because the comparison I was going to make was Moon Knight. Moon Knight is one of those series I thought would have been better off as a movie, because I think the 6 episodes was too long for that because I think that dragged a lot. Well, I do like a lot about it because
I liked Moon Knight, but as soon as I found out it's not part of the MCU,
yeah,
I got detached from it. Like I don't know why. Like as soon as I found out it wasn't part of the MCU, I got detached from the show. I enjoyed it, but like I didn't care much about it as much as I could have.
I mean, I think Moon Knight will I don't know if it's going to be detached from the MCU, but I think it's going to somehow get connected.
I just figured Moon Knight was the one show that was going out of its way to make sure that they're not going to reference too much of the MCU personally to me. Even if there are reports saying that, oh yeah, it doesn't exist within the, because I did hear some reports that they were planning on doing some shooting that would have featured some characters from Eternals, loosely still connecting it to MCU. But I still appreciate Moon Knight for what it was. But I do, but Malcolm, on the whole thing of the flashbacks for Miss Marvel, I actually did not mind it personally, I didn't even think it hurt the show because we are seeing because the flashbacks. I thought they may have been a bit of a narrative distraction, but they did work in different ways. Like you're hearing the clandestine talk about Kamala's her great grandmother, and then of course you're hearing from her mother about her experience during her experience with that bangle, and of course learning, of course, with the whole like the stars about helping her find her father, and then I like how it goes it digs a little deeper in that 5th episode. We learned that it was Kamala's great grandmother that summoned Kamala into the past through that bangle in order to protect her grandmother, which led to her creating that illusion of stars to help find her great grandfather. While it is a little confusing at first, but it's most like when you go back on rewatching, you do see how these little bits were pieced apart and how they kind of fit in a puzzle. Once you watch the whole series, once you watch all the 6 episodes as a whole again, they start to flow a little bit and make a little more sense to
Kamala Khan pulled a Harry Potter. That's all it was. Harry Potter did it first.
Not.
I would say for the 12 monkey scenario, only difference is nobody dies at the end. I mean, no, the good guys die.
Well, what I'm saying, the reason why the flashback hurt is just because it took the end of the episode. Oh, clandestines lose. That's the end of the bad people's arc. It's like that was the reason. Like having 2 villains is like, especially in 6 episodes, was no point. Focus on one.
I think just like with WandaVision, there was really no true villain, just antagonists, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's the I would argue that well, that's the thing. Like, I would argue that there wasn't a true villain because that's the thing. We don't know a lot about these clandestines. I think, as I said, like the creators had more than they wanted to do, but for COVID restrictions, they just couldn't go that deep. And because there was a moment that I thought, oh shit, they are actually going to go the Inhuman route for Ms. Marvel, and that's when, after that flashback thing where they all went into when they all were killed by this mist. I thought that was going to be a failed.
There was one thing I had a question on. I don't remember this. Did they explain how Kamran had powers, or was just he always had powers?
No. From episode 5, when I forget the name of the mom, when she goes to seal off that veil, she is used just because like in episode 5 as well, when Kamala's great grandmother summons energy within herself to activate the bangle to bring Kamala. I was seeing the same thing because it showed her eyes glow a little bit when she's closing off the veil, and I think the residual energy of her essence kind of got absorbed into Kamran.
Is Kamran a mutant? I'm assuming, too, or
I don't know.
That is one little. I won't say a plot hole, but that is something that should have been resolved, like him having his ability.
I have a question. Sorry, I have a question about that as well. The scene I tell the mom, is that the same? Anybody want Agent Shield?
I do watch Agent Shield.
Is that the same thing that was used to transform people into?
No,
that looked
no,
like
I
the
don't
same
think
exact
so.
thing.
The Terrigen crystals, no, or the diviner, no. They were making a point that they were saying the bangle was kind of used as because the whole point of them finding a bangle was to access a weak point in the veil so they can go back to their dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, of course, through Bruno's research that it would not have worked. And then seeing when the bangle was, when the veil was pierced, we do see one of the clandestine tried to go through. Didn't work, but it did have that little point to where, it did come off a bit of like a Terrigen-ish. But
it looked like the same thing that we used with Daisy in season. I forget what season 8.
Okay,
but yeah. That being said, Max, what do you like? I know you probably touched on this earlier. I can't remember, but what are your thoughts on this whole 6 episodes / 6 hour structure that this series seemed to be doing?
Listen, I think the only series that has worked with 6 episodes was Loki.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. They were both well paced, and Moon Knight. I love Moon Knight. I think it's the best out of all the MCU shows on Disney Plus. I think it's the
Nope.
best one.
Sorry, that was Hawkeye. Hawkeye
Uh,
was
I
the
did
one that
I
were.
did not care for
Hawkeye-
Hawkeye one bit, and that was
Hawkeye was so much fun.
I did not care for that show one
I
bit,
did
and that
not-
was one of the
I
main
did
problems
take
was that it was
Kingpin,
too short.
but no.
Well, you're
they
wrong.
They had like 3 episodes were like 30 minutes long, and then it was 42 minutes long.
Well, see, that was your problem. I think you had
Credits.
expectations. I was just along for the ride, enjoying
Yeah,
But
well,
myself.
they
It's a
did
nice,
Kingpin,
fun
like,
Christmas show.
undisputable.
Everyone had
You-
expectations.
None of the. But anyways,
Can't blame
it's
them.
not about Hawkeye because I mean none of the relationship wasn't properly developed with Kate Bishop and
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah.
That was
Hawkeye, and then
Perfectly.
also the
The
past
Kingpin.
as Ronan was barely touched upon. That needed maybe 2 or 3 more episodes to really kind of solidify
And
it.
making
Anyway.
Kingpin a joke.
Oh no,
alone.
Kingpin was great. Sorry, Vincent D'Onofrio is
I
amazing.
know, but Divine should
Um,
no.
But no, I thought definitely Miss Marvel needed more episodes, especially in the bits in Pakistan. The scenes were great. Like the partition scene was really great, but it was too short. It felt too rushed, and the development with the grandmother's parents felt a little bit too underdeveloped for my taste. And then the villains as well.
Yeah.
Like we barely get to see like the villains' plans. Like I forgot like what they actually wanted to do. Like I
They
guess
just
they
wanted to go back to their dimension. That was
Yeah, they wanted to go back to their dimension, but they also wanted to take over Earth and turn it into their dimension. I think.
They're like,
no.
okay.
That was I think
the
that was just
Band-Aids.
I think that wasn't even their plan. I think that was just what the Daggers thought they were going to do.
yeah.
You see, it was way too confusing, and none of the villains were any good. Like, because we barely got a chance to know who they were, what their proper motivations were, and they weren't really villains because they wanted to go back home, and then Cameron became the main antagonist, but he's not really an antagonist because he's kind of just tortured by his powers. And then the government damage control, the woman, I don't remember her name, she becomes the villain because she sets up this whole
Agent
operation at the
Deaver.
school. Agent
I-
Deaver.
that's why I'm
Oh,
saying
don't
that
do it,
there's
they're kids, and
That's what I'm saying, that there really is no villains in this series. It was just people with different motivations and different
Yeah.
agendas, to where everything was always misinterpreted. Like
yeah,
kind of like what you're saying with Agent D. Like that's one thing with damage control. That's why when you're meeting the boss and how he's twisting the narrative with Zoe's interrogation, we're going, oh, they're this kind of organization that's just trying to put a bad name on enhanced.
and they're going on they went to the mosque twice to search it, and none of it felt inspired to me, and it felt rushed. Like I said, the 6 episodes works at times. Like I think Moon Knight was really well paced.
Moon Knight was boring at
in the
times.
middle
I'm
and
sorry.
end.
That I
Same
completely.
thing.
thing.
They had one
Yeah,
great
Dude,
episode
this
of
could be this could be like a Disney Plus rankum show, but I will still
Yeah.
say that with this show, like I do understand, like once you rewatch this, I thought that's why I'm saying, like with these Disney Plus shows, now that every episode's been released, we get to rewatch them. It'll be much easier now with the knowledge we know to be able to break apart certain things. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of most of these reviewers and reactions out there trying to get everything in one watch. It leads to jumped conclusions, especially during the first couple episodes. Everyone was saying the mom was a villain because she wasn't letting Kamala do what she wanted.
No,
Sure.
I had the opposite effect. I thought Camilla was the villain in the first episode.
But the thing was is that everyone was comparing Kamala's mom to the abuela in Encanto. Everyone's making these whole logic leaps. Yes, they
Oh, man.
were. I was seeing this
Okay.
on TikTok, on Reddit.
I have not seen Encanto,
Discord
so I need to watch that.
Like,
This was ridiculous. Everyone was thinking that the mom was meant to be a villain because she's being a parent because she's overprotective or she's being strict.
I'm sorry,
The-
she's being a parent, unlike she's
Oh my
being an
God.
actual parent. I don't know how many
I would
people,
go
how
to
many
that
parents.
part. They're like, did your parents wake you?
No, the TikToks I came across on people claiming, oh my God, you have no idea. If you were thinking of Falcon or Soldier touching on race, just go on TikTok and just see everyone's reaction to the mom for the first and second episode.
Yeah.
I think that was the problem with this generation is parents are very too loosey-goosey with their children. Because my parents would never allow me to go out on a school night to a fucking con with adults. Like, even if as a freshman.
It's like the TikToks I came across that if after the phone was like TikTok exists in the MCU, which means we're in the MCU.
Oh my God. I did like
Um,
one thing I will touch on with episode 6. I did like towards this when they were building that little confrontation with damage control. I like how Kamala, she is more confident in herself. So when from the first episode when she makes her plan, how it's going to go in her head, and then how it's executed, I like how in this one she's coming across, she's being very clear, like here's what we're gonna do, and I like how everyone had a part to play. And then, of course, with Kamran, once he learns the truth of his mom, of course, the whole thing of him just lashing out in anger. I like how Kamala's first instinct is to contain and protect, make sure none of the damage control guys are getting hurt, and making sure that Kamran's blasts are not going to move further out.
I really feel like episode 1 and episode 6 were the best 2 episodes. Those were really 2 good episodes.
Yeah,
I
I love episode 2, Ron.
but yeah, but one moment in the battle I really did like is I think her brother's name's Amir. But
Yeah.
it's just a really small moment. But I like when he went up to camera, was like, so you don't like the Great British Bake Off?
Oh, I love that.
It was just a small moment. But it's like, dude, you're in this really big battle. It's like, is this really the time to talk about Great British Bake Off? But that being said, Richard, if you to give the series a final rating out of 5, what would you give it?
I would give it a 4. Like it was really good. One of the better MCU shows. I can't give it a full 5 because there were issues with plot points, and I just feel like 6 episodes weren't enough to be fully giving it a 5. But still, a 4. It was a really, really good show.
Ryan, if you were to give the series a score out of 5, what would you give it?
With some narration, plot, I mean, with some plot points in the narration, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Max, what would you give the series out of 5?
A 4, solid 4. Like I said, I had issues with the latter half of the show, but first half is legitimately perfect, and then it's a little inconsistent, but it's a good show. I enjoyed it. It's much better than was much better than Thor: Love and Thunder. So there you go.
Chris, what are your thoughts? What would you give Ms. Marvel out of 5?
4.8 out of 5. I really do like this show. I love this show to death. It didn't beat WandaVision for me for my favorite out of the Disney Plus MCU show. I do love WandaVision now, but this is something I fell in love. Love all the character. Love the writing. Whoever write this show, please write more Marvel because you're writing a lot better than a lot of what we've gotten lately. Paid for.
Yeah, but I mean, I also really enjoy the show, and like as I said, this is my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show of that they've done so far. And for me, it's a 4.5 out of 5. This is easily like despite some issues I did have with the story and all that, I think it was just a solid show, and I think it was really well done. And a lot of my sort of small things are just really nitpicks anyway. But with that being said, that's the end of this review. Richard, where can people find you online?
They can find me on Facebook under Richard Schwartz, YouTube and Twitter under External Void. I actually made a new YouTube channel for my Los Angeles Dodgers. It's called Go Dodgers Go. If you're a fan of baseball, fan of the Dodgers, hit me up on there.
And Ryan, where can people find you online?
Well, people can find me. People can go on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, and follow the wrestling podcast that I record called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. We spent a couple of months retooling our show our podcasting in order to put out more weekly content. But still, we have episodes that there are still episodes that we're going to release yet, but we still have plenty in our library for so many people to go back on. We've done reviews. We have done top 5s. We've done we posted an idea on wrestling news. So yeah, just go on to any form of podcast that you have of Apple, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Podbean, and Anchor, and Spotify, and check us out. Leave a review or just like or give us a couple or rate us however you want.
Max, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter at Max from Quebec. I've got a couple of really cool interviews on Moon Knight with May Kalamaui, with the costume designer, cinematographer, and composer. And if you're interested in learning more about how the partition scenes were shot, I also interviewed the cinematographer of those scenes for Miss Marvel, who worked with director Charmin Obaid Chinoy. That is on awardsradar.com, and you can go ahead and find the full audio conversation I had with the cinematographer.
Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find my Facebook online, or you just find me in about, I think, almost an hour over at Jordan Orange doing pick and list. And then tomorrow, I'm not sure if it's live or not, I'm facing this person to the right of Richard and Geek and Jack All Trivia.
And yeah, you can find me tomorrow hosting Rankin. And the topic is top 12 Ryan Gosling movies. You can find me on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern with a Gone for the Win special talking about the Emmy nominations. And you can find me hosting trivia matches over on Full Metal. And yeah, I'm pretty much all around. If people talking about movies, the chance that I might actually be there. But until next time, see you later.
And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.